All right. Let's dive into something a little bit different today.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at painting.
Ooh, fun.
And, I was looking at this text that you sent over, rhj.txt.
Oh, yeah.
And it really seems to get to the core of what painting is all about.
Really?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Mm.
So I'm excited to unpack it with you.
Me too.
So where do we even begin with something as vast as painting?
Well, the text actually starts with a really beautiful way of defining painting.
Well,
It's not just, putting colors on a canvas.
right.
It talks about painting as a journey.
A journey.
Yeah, a journey that blends creativity and technique to express thoughts, emotions, stories, all kinds of things.
When I think about some of the most powerful paintings I've seen, I totally get that sense of a journey.
Oh, yeah,
Like I'm being taken somewhere, transported into the artist's world.
absolutely. And it's fascinating how the text emphasizes that painting is visual language.
Oh, how so?
What's capable of expressing things that words sometimes just can't capture?
You know what that makes me think of? Cave paintings.
Yes, exactly. Way before written language, people were using paint to tell stories, share experiences, and make sense of the world around them.
It's incredible how this urge to express ourselves visually is embedded in us, you know?
Absolutely. And over time, that impulse has evolved into so many styles of painting.
Yeah, the text mentions realism as one of them,
Right.
and it describes it as bringing life to the mundane. But it's not just about copying reality perfectly, is it?
No, not at all.
When I think of Caravaggio, for example,
Oh, yes.
his paintings are so realistic, but there's also this incredible drama and emotion in them.
It's the way he uses light and shadow.
Exactly.
It elevates the ordinary into something extraordinary.
Makes you really look at the world differently.
Right.
So we've talked about realism, but then there's the whole world of abstract art.
Oh, yes. That's where things get really interesting.
The text says that abstract art transports us into dimensions beyond reality.
And it can be a bit polarizing, right?
Definitely. Some people love it. Some people just don't get it.
But I think that's part of its power.
How so?
Well, abstract art doesn't give you all the answers.
Okay.
It's not trying to represent the world as we see it.
Right.
It's more about evoking emotions and sparking your imagination.
So it's like an invitation to find your own meaning in the work.
Exactly. You're engaging with color, form, texture on a purely sensory level.
So it's less about what you see and more about what you feel.
I think so, yeah.
That's interesting. Now, the text also mentions some other art movements like Expressionism, Impressionism, Surrealism.
So many isms.
Right.
Yeah.
Each with its own unique voice, as
Yeah.
the text puts it. Have you ever delved into any of these movements in detail?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, surrealism always captivates me.
Why is that?
Well, it's all about dreams and the subconscious.
That-
The paintings often have this dreamlike quality.
Like they're from another world.
Exactly. They challenge our perception of reality.
You know what? That reminds me of Salvador Dali and his melting clocks.
Yes. A perfect example.
Totally bizarre, but also strangely beautiful.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about styles, but what about the materials, the mediums that artists use?
Oh, that's a whole other dimension of expression.
The text talks about how oils create depth and richness. It makes me think of Van Gogh and his thick, textured brushstrokes.
Oh, yeah. His paintings are almost sculptural.
You can practically feel the paint.
And the way oils blend and glaze creates these luminous effects.
Right, like the skin tones in Renaissance portraits.
They're so lifelike.
And then there's the vibrancy of acrylics.
Oh, yeah. So versatile.
Some artists use them for bold graphic works, and others create these delicate washes of color.
It's amazing how one medium can achieve such different effects.
Totally. And speaking of different effects, we can't forget about watercolors.
Oh, watercolors are magical.
The text talks about their ethereal quality.
The way they capture light and shadow, that transparency and fluidity,
It's like they're infused with air and light.
makes me think of Turner and his atmospheric landscapes.
Oh yeah, you can practically feel the mist in the sea spray.
It's like being transported to another place and time.
It really shows how the choice of medium is so much more than just a practical matter.
It's an integral part of the artist's vision.
Right. It becomes part of their language, their way of speaking to us.
Exactly.
And speaking of speaking, the text brings up this powerful idea of painting as a shared journey between the artist and the viewer.
Oh, I love that idea.
What does that mean to you?
Well, every brush stroke, Every color choice, every element of the composition is a way for the artist to communicate their unique vision.
Right.
But it's not a one-way street.
How so?
The viewer brings their own experiences, emotions, and interpretations to the painting.
Okay.
And that creates this dialogue that goes beyond time and space.
It's like a silent conversation between the artist and the viewer.
I think so, yeah. It's a beautiful way to think about it.
Absolutely. Now, towards the end, the text mentions a collection of paintings. It doesn't give us any specifics, though. So let's play curator for a moment. If you were putting together this collection, what kind of paintings would you include?
Ooh, that's a fun challenge. Well, I'd want a collection that represents the diversity of painting, you know?
Different styles, different mediums.
Exactly. I'd want pieces that make people feel something, you know?
Joy, sadness, wonder.
All of that. I'd want paintings that spark conversations and make people think.
A collection that challenges and inspires?
Exactly. And I think that brings us back to that idea of the shared journey.
How so?
Well, a good collection of paintings doesn't just showcase the artist's vision.
Right.
It invites the viewer to become part of that vision, to find their own meaning and connection within each piece.
That's a collection I'd love to see. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of painting, what are some key takeaways?
Well, I think we've seen how painting is a powerful form of expression, a visual language that goes beyond words.
It's about exploring different styles and experimenting with mediums.
And ultimately, it's about that incredible connection between the artist and the viewer.
Yeah. And maybe even beyond that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Art has this incredible power to enrich our lives, to make us think differently, to connect us to something bigger than ourselves.
I completely agree. And on that note, I want to leave you with a little something to ponder. If you were to create a painting right now, what would it be? What style would you choose? What colors would you use? What story would your painting tell?
What a great question.
It's something to think about as you go about your day.
I like that.
Thanks for joining me on this colorful journey.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring the world of art.
And keep painting your own story.